What's up, everybody? This is Keenan Higgs Higgins once again with another Black America Web exclusive. Now, you already know I'm hanging out with some of the rising voices from Lena Waithe's series at Tribeca Film Festival this past year. And I am speaking to someone who I was very, very excited to speak to. Like, out of all of the directors that I've been speaking to, I've been loving all of them, but this one has been definitely like one of the ones for me.
I
Uh,
appreciate it.
Everybody, please, Wes Andre Goodrich, how are you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. I love your Aaliyah shirt. I didn't even notice you like moved back. I saw it. It's cold.
I had to,
Had to,
obviously anniversary. We both
obviously.
from New York, so we definitely go ahead on that too. But
Oh,
this is,
what part of New York are you from?
I'm from Mount Vernon, but I currently live in
Okay.
Harlem, and so
Copy,
I'm over the five boroughs, so I always get
copy,
around.
copy. All right, we'll definitely chop about it.
Definitely. But yeah, so one thing that I loved about your well, first and foremost, before we even get into the movie, tell me a little bit just about your intro into film and just how you got inspired to just be a director and start this journey.
That's a great question. Well, my parents are, my mom's a Jamaican immigrant. My dad is from family from Belize, and I grew up in East Flatbush in Brooklyn. So like, filmmaking wasn't necessarily something that I thought was accessible for me necessarily. Like, it was kind of something my dad used to take me to on weekends that I never really thought was a possibility for me to like pursue as a job. And when you have like Caribbean parents, the first option is something that makes money. And filmmaking wasn't necessarily that, but I was in acting for a while and then theater directing. But I guess the thing that really turned me on to it was my mom showed me like Malcolm X when I was like 10, the Spike Lee movie. I was probably like too young for it, but she's a social studies teacher. She was like, this is very important. And I think I didn't really have like a lightning bolt, like I want to be a filmmaker moment, but I think it was the first time I saw a movie that felt like it was made by like an author, like someone had made it for a reason and a purpose, and was intentional, and that was really inspiring to me. And went to Pace University for theater directing, loved theater directing, still do it, but like always loved movies. I was like, I really want to figure out, take a shot at going to film school. So, like I sold my kidney, I guess, to pay for it, but no, actually I was a janitor to pay for it. But I went to film school during the pandemic, and yeah, started to make movies, made a bunch of shorts, and then got very lucky to get picked up and make this movie with Indeed and 271 and Hillman Grad and Lena and all those folks.
It was so amazing. It's so funny that you say that you like at once was a janitor, because now it really does kind of bring full circle that you tend to use a lot of your personal experiences and put them into movies. And what I mean by that, for those of you who are kind of like, what are you talking about? So one of your first short films was called one of your first pilots was called Heretics, and it dealt
Yeah.
with janitors who were like something. I won't spoil it, but it had to do
Yeah.
with this. And then in a lot of even in the an Ophelia project, it always has something to do with tradition and family and just that Black upbringing. Why is that so important to you in terms of like getting it out there and exposing it in your work?
Well, that's a cool. Thank you for asking that. That's actually a really good question. Well, I think, I don't know, man. Like, I think with Heritage specifically, and I think with most things I write, I want it to feel lived in. You know what I mean? Like, I think, unfortunately, a lot of Black filmmakers don't really get the chance to make things that feel contemporary or feel like they're representative of a real experience. And I think that is changing now, and I think that was definitely, one of the reasons people like Spike and like John Singleton and Gina Prince Bywood, when they all dropped, is because all of them felt like they were talking to a lived experience. But I think often we've been kind of relegated to, historical dramas exclusively, which I think is unfortunate. So like creating work that feels like it comes out of an experience that I've had is the only way to make the work specific for me. So it's like, I haven't necessarily ever been on tour. My producer had, and that's where the idea came for this movie that we're going to talk about. But I do know what it feels like to like be low on money and have to, make a hard decisions, you know what I mean? And I also like love hip hop, which is the reason why the movie is about hip hop. And you know, in everything I've ever made, I think there's a more than a kernel of something that I've grown up with or love inside of it, because that's the only way I know how to direct, because I kind of got to direct out of your gut, you know, like you can't really over intellectualize it. When you get down to it, you got to find the thing inside of it that makes you excited or sad or angry or whatever.
I love that. And so getting into this project that I had the pleasure of seeing during Tribeca Festival, and I got to tell you, if I had to choose a fan favorite, this probably be one. A lot of it was
Thank you.
Of course. It was due to, like, obviously the familiarity of the cast. There was the actual theme of, like, just in the short time what you were able to do. And I loved how you did it in a way where, again, of all the projects, like, this was the one where I was like, I need to see more of this. Like, I thought this was like the beginning of like a series. And so just talk to me a little bit about what inspired Meal Ticket, and how are you able to get this together and pull off such a fun and cool and just really intriguing piece of work.
I appreciate it, Keenan. Like, for real, that means a lot. Thank you for saying that. Well, you know, the idea came about a year ago. We were on, my friend and collaborator Patrick and I were we were on kind of the festival circuit for our film Palm Sunday that it was kind of our thesis film at film school together. And as we were on it, we were in LA together, kind of showing it around. He was like, you know, I used to be on the John Mayer tour when I was like 20 or 21. He was the videographer for John Mayer. And he was like, the tour life is kind of one of those weird ecosystems that people don't really talk about. You know, you see it in Entourage, or you see it in like Atlanta, but in Atlanta, like that show's incredible, but it's not really about touring. It's about like the relationships and the ecosystem, right? And he was like, I wonder if there's not a story about a tour. And then he kicked over to me. And what I always thought was interesting is like this idea of like, you know, being Black, and like, what does fame look like? And like, you know, a lot of Black artists get famous off of a few things, you know, sports, rap, films, like very few things. And often they get famous really young. You know what I mean? You think about like rappers, Lil Wayne was so young when he got famous. And that was a really interesting idea to me, is like, what do you do when this is potentially your only shot and there's a lot of money on the line? So we and then also this idea of like how hip hop has changed in the last 10 years. You know, hip hop used to be the center of culture, and to me it still is, but people are just not making money the same way. Money is made through touring. So it's like taking all those things together and trying to make something really interesting out of that was really the impetus, right? So we kept putting kind of all these layers on top, and the idea of like pivoting away from the artist, making it about the manager. And then we're just fans of like Uncut Gems and like Michael Mann movies and stuff. So like we tried to like take those ideas and put them in a place you wouldn't usually see them. So that's a long answer to your question, but
it was well worth the length though.
I appreciate it.
I will say, so a question that I was asking pretty much everybody who I've been interviewing, outside of your own project, was there a film either at the Rising Voices competition or throughout the Tribeca festival that was you that stood out and that like was just prominent?
Oh yeah, I mean, Dave Fortune's movie Color Book is incredible. Was really moved by it. And he's an incredibly nice guy and was very kind to me, because he was Rising Voices, I think, second year. And like as soon as I got it, I got his number and I texted him and I was like, can I, and I'd never met him. I just kind of got his number for somebody else. I was like, can I talk to you about this? And he like jumped on the phone with me that night and like talked to me for like an hour about it, and has only been kind. But that's not the reason I love the movie. I love the movie because I think it's a really emotional, well shot, well directed, specific movie. And you know, all the Rising Voices movies I love a lot. The people, you know, I've told Winter Dunn that her movie Play Hard is like one of my favorite movies I've seen like this year. My buddy Omar's movie Bitter Leaf, I love it. Endling, I think, is great. Andy's movie Tender Thoughts, I think, is like I don't know, like I told, when I walked out of it, I was like, to my producer Patrick, I was like, Andy's going to be like the biggest filmmaker in the world, and we just going to kind of watching her do it. And I was just really proud to just watch everybody's movie. Technicians, I think, is incredible. So, yeah, I think there's so much to love about the Rising Voices stuff. But Color Book, Play Hard, Bitter Leaf, Tender Thoughts, I love those movies.
It's so funny. I feel like we would get along really well because those were like pretty much all of my favorites, and I actually did a feature on Color Book, so it was pretty dope.
Oh, dude, it's so good. Man. That guy's so talented. Please do, please do.
Yeah. So, to wrap this up, what is something that you feel is going to propel you in this industry, either as a creative, as a Black man? Just from any perspective, because this is definitely it's neither the beginning nor the end. It's just a stamp in this journey for you that I feel like is just gonna go no ways but up.
I mean, I think like, man, now you're doing like the therapy thing of like you have to say something positive.
The last question, come on now.
I think here's what I'll say. Like, I think, and I don't know so much about this business, but what I do know about it is it's like half talent and skill and craft, and like really being about your craft, and like every day writing, every day watching a movie, every day taking notes, which I've tried to do, every day, just making the time. Like, 50% of it is like getting, like the Kobe thing, just watching tape, just trying to like get the skills ready. 50% is that. The other 50% is just being good at like following up with people and like reaching out to people and cold emailing and like going to generals and like being interested genuinely and like collaborators, you know what I mean? So I think like, and like being confident about what your taste is, you know what I mean? Like we made Meal Ticket because we were like, we think it's a dope idea to make a movie about a young rapper. Like that's interesting to us. Like, and I think it's like 50%, craft and vision, and then 50% just like being really aware of the business, like reading the trades, reaching out to people, following up with people. And that's what we've been trying to do, me and my team. And, the hope is that, we'll be one of the new filmmakers that kind of emerges in the next few years, you know what I mean? Because I feel like we're due for kind of a new class to kind of get pushed in, and the hope is that I'm one of them. So
I am. If you keep making projects like Meal Ticket and Heretics and all of like everything that you have in store, I promise that's the road ahead. So thank you so much for even just taking the time for us, and I look forward to seeing more work, man. I'm just saying.
Oh, dude, Keenan, this has been a pleasure. Thank you so much, brother.